Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today, I want to share a beautiful story that's very close to my heart. It's about a little turtle with a very big dream. This story reminds us that the journey is just as important as the destination, and that sometimes, the slowest path leads to the greatest rewards. So, find a cozy spot, relax, and let's dive into the world of Toma the turtle. Beside a sparkling, crystal clear pond, where dragonflies danced over lily pads and the reeds whispered secrets to the wind, lived a small turtle named Toma. Now, Toma wasn't like the other animals who called the pond home. He was slow, very slow. His shell, a beautiful mosaic of greens and browns, was his little home, and he carried it with him everywhere he went. But while his movements were deliberate and unhurried, his dreams were as fast and bright as the sunbeams that dappled the water's surface. Every single day, Toma would sit at the edge of the pond, his wise old eyes fixed on a destination that seemed a world away. Across the shimmering expanse of water, on the far shore, was a collection of large, flat rocks. These weren't just any rocks. To Toma, they were a paradise. From his vantage point, he could see how the sun loved them, bathing them in a warm, golden light from morning until dusk. He imagined the feeling of that gentle heat seeping into his shell, warming him through and through. It was his ultimate goal, his sunny sanctuary. The journey, however, was daunting. The pond was wide, and for a small, slow-moving turtle, it was a vast ocean. Every day, he watched the other animals. The frogs, with their powerful legs, would launch themselves through the air, landing with a cheerful plop and swimming across in mere minutes. The ducks would paddle by in a flurry of quacks and ruffled feathers, their webbed feet pushing them effortlessly through the water. Even the quick little water striders seemed to dance across the surface, reaching the other side without a care in the world. They would often splash past Toma, sometimes without even noticing him. "Hurry up, slowpoke," a young frog might croak, zipping by. "You'll be here all day," a duck might quack, leaving a wake that gently rocked Toma from side to side. Toma would simply blink his slow, steady blink and watch them go. He never got angry or discouraged. He knew his own pace. He understood that his journey was not their journey. He had his own path to follow, and he would follow it in his own time. So, one bright morning, with the sun just beginning to warm the air, Toma made a decision. Today was the day. He took a deep breath, a slow and steady one, and with a soft plunk, he slipped into the cool water of the pond. The journey had begun. His powerful little legs began to paddle, not with the speed of the frogs or the ducks, but with a rhythm that was all his own. Paddle, paddle, rest. Paddle, paddle, rest. That was his way. The water was a whole new world. Sunken logs became mysterious tunnels to navigate around. Strands of waterweed felt like a dense, underwater forest. He saw fish with shimmering scales dart past him, their movements a blur of silver and gold. At first, the other shore seemed to get no closer. It was just a distant line of green and gray. He could still hear the lively sounds of the pond, the buzzing of bees, and the chirping of crickets. After a while, his little legs began to feel tired. The initial burst of determination was being tested by the sheer scale of his task. He found a large, smooth lily pad, one big enough to hold his weight, and carefully pulled himself up onto it. The sun felt good on his shell. He closed his eyes and just floated for a while, letting the gentle currents of the pond rock him like a cradle. He wasn't giving up. He was simply recharging. This was an important part of this process. He knew that pushing himself beyond his limits would only lead to exhaustion. True strength, he understood, was knowing when to rest. From his lily pad raft, he watched the world go by. A family of ducks swam past, the mother leading her fluffy ducklings in a neat little line. They glanced at him curiously but paddled on. Toma just gave them a slow, friendly nod. He was at peace with his journey. There was no race to win, no one to impress. There was only his goal and his steady, patient effort to reach it. Once he felt rested and his energy had returned, he slipped back into the water. Paddle, paddle, rest. The rhythm continued. He kept his eyes on the prize, the warm, sunny rocks that were now, ever so slowly, starting to look bigger. He could begin to make out the different shapes and textures. One rock looked like a giant sea, another like a sleeping cat. This small detail filled him with a new wave of motivation. He was making progress. The middle of the pond was the deepest and widest part. For a moment, looking back and then looking forward, it felt like he was in the middle of a great, blue nowhere. A flicker of doubt, as small as a firefly, sparked in his mind. Could he really do this? The shore he'd left seemed just as far as the one he was heading toward. It would be so easy to turn back, to return to the familiar comfort of his starting point. But then, he thought about the warmth. He imagined the feeling of the sun on his shell, the deep, satisfying heat that would make him feel so safe and content. He remembered why he had started this journey in the first place. That dream was stronger than any doubt. He pushed the thought of turning back out of his mind, took another deep breath, and paddled on. His strokes became a little stronger, a little more determined. He was not just a turtle. He was an explorer, an adventurer on a grand quest. As the sun reached its highest point in the sky, casting a brilliant glare across the water, Toma found himself getting closer. He could now see the individual blades of grass growing at the water's edge on the far shore. He could see the little pebbles scattered near the rocks. The end was in sight. A surge of excitement, a feeling he hadn't expected, bubbled up inside him. His paddling became more energetic. Paddle, paddle, paddle. The rest could wait. Finally, with one last triumphant push, his front feet touched soft, squishy mud. He had reached the shore. He slowly and carefully pulled his tired body out of the water. He stood for a moment, dripping, and looked back across the pond. It looked enormous from this side, a vast, shimmering mirror reflecting the blue sky. He had crossed it, all of it. A feeling of immense pride and happiness washed over him, warmer than any sunbeam. He had done it. He had faced the vastness of the pond, the doubt in his own mind, and the impatience of others, and he had succeeded. He turned his attention to his prize. The rocks were even better up close. They were huge, smooth, and radiating a glorious warmth. He picked the flattest, sunniest one and slowly climbed onto it. As he settled down, the heat from the rock seeped into his shell and through his entire body. It was everything he had dreamed of and more. It was a deep, soothing warmth that relaxed every muscle. He closed his eyes and let out a long, happy sigh. This feeling of accomplishment, combined with the pure bliss of the sun, was the greatest reward he could have ever imagined. He had earned this. Every slow, steady paddle had been worth it. From that day on, Toma the turtle became a quiet legend of the pond. The other animals had seen his journey. They had watched him start in the morning and arrive in the afternoon, and they had seen the look of pure contentment on his face as he rested on his sunny rock. They began to understand. Speed wasn't everything. The frogs still leaped and the ducks still paddled fast, but they looked at Toma with a new kind of respect. Toma spent his afternoons on his beloved rocks, soaking in the sun. He learned that the greatest journeys aren't always the fastest. He discovered that patience and steady, consistent effort can take you anywhere you want to go. It doesn't matter if others are faster. It doesn't matter if the journey seems long and difficult. What matters is that you keep going, one step or one paddle at a time. And most importantly, he learned that going slow never, ever means giving up. It just means you're enjoying the journey at your own perfect pace. And every time he smiled his slow, wise turtle smile, everyone knew he was remembering the day he proved that the steadiest heart can achieve the biggest dreams. I hope you enjoyed Toma's story as much as I did. It's a powerful reminder for all of us, isn't it? In our fast-paced world, it's so easy to feel like we're falling behind. But Toma teaches us to honor our own rhythm and to trust in the power of persistence. Thank you so much for watching and sharing the story with me. If it resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories that warm the heart and inspire the soul. Until next time, remember to be patient with yourself and keep moving toward your own sunny rock. Bye for now.